Hi there! It's been a while, but if you've seen the latest short, you'll know that I am reactivating this channel in 2025. To kick things off, I thought I'd make a long and comprehensive video about how to keep your bird healthy. There's quite a lot to it, and some of the things, such as lighting, are almost never talked about on YouTube, so do stick around until the end. This is going to be a deep dive, but there will be a summary at the end, and I've also prepared a complete PDF of everything discussed in the video, which you can download. More on that later. I will also link the products I personally use and which you may find helpful in the video description. Alright, let's get into it. First up, free flight. In the wild, flight is integral not just for movement but for the bird's overall health. Flight exercises the bird's muscles, promoting cardiovascular health and maintaining optimal weight. It also stimulates the respiratory system, essential for oxygen exchange and endurance. Beyond the physical, flying allows birds to express natural behaviors, reducing the likelihood of stress-induced problems like feather plucking or singing issues. Birds, no matter the size, cannot be kept in a cage 24/7. They need at least 3 to 4 hours of free flight daily. The more, the better. Leporello spends most of his time outside the cage for this reason. It's important to ensure that your room is safe for a bird to fly in. Let me know in the comments if you want a separate video on this subject. Next up, nutrition. A healthy diet forms the cornerstone of a bird's health. It will generally consist of 3 basic and 2 advanced elements. The 3 cornerstones are a high-quality seed mix, greens and vegetables, and egg food. The fine-tuning, also important, happens with the following: minerals and vitamins and supplements. Let's look at all of these in detail. Point 2.1. Seed mixes. While seeds are a staple, not all seed mixes offer the same benefits. A high-quality seed mix tailored to finches or canaries typically includes a diversity of seeds, such as hemp, thistle, niger, grasses, flaxseed, and many others, providing a broad range of nutrients. I personally use a 1-to-1 mix of Stieglitz Spezial and Waldvogel Spezial from a German supplier. Together, these contain more than 25 different seeds, much healthier than the millet commonly sold in supermarkets and pet shops. However, even the best seeds aren't enough. You also need point 2.2, greens and vegetables. In the wild, birds mostly don't eat ripe seeds. They eat half-ripe seeds, plants and even insects like aphids. Yes, even the seed-eating birds like finches. This can be incredibly difficult to reproduce at home. When I was still living in Vienna, I would go to the Vienna woods several times a week to pick wildflowers and herbs. Now that I live in Paris, which isn't exactly surrounded by nature, I make sure Leporello gets at least the vegetables and salads that he is used to. His particular favorite are cucumber, broccoli, and lamb's lettuce, but there are many other salads that you can offer to your bird. As a rule, your bird should be eating at least some kind of green vegetable every single day, just like you. And it doesn't stop there. Among the 3 macronutrients, a major one is still largely missing, and that is protein. Point 2.3. Egg food. Incorporating egg food into your bird's diet introduces an excellent source of protein and essential amino acids. Egg food, which can be commercially bought or prepared at home, supports growth, particularly during breeding or molting periods when nutritional demands are higher. I frankly just use store-bought egg food. This particular kind was recommended by my avian vet, and as a side note, it smells really tasty. Leporello likes it too. Balancing a bird's diet with both vegetables and egg food ensures a more comprehensive nutritional profile, promoting strong feathers, robust immunity, and overall energy levels. We've covered the 3 big items, and now we're on to the fine-tuning. Point 2.4. Minerals. Minerals serve as building materials for bones, influence muscle and nerve function, and regulate the body's water balance. In humans, just as in birds, there are several ways of providing minerals, either in the form of grit, a mineral block, or a cuttlebone. Some birds have a preference for one over the other. However, Leporello seems to enjoy all of them. Occasionally, people bring up concerns regarding the high sodium content of cuttlebones, and there's a veritable controversy around the necessity of grit. So personally, I think it's a good idea to just supply all 3 and let your bird decide which ones he happens to like and need that day. Grit, mineral blocks, and cuttlebones are very cheap and last for ages, so this is definitely something bird owners should provide. And finally, the last building block of good nutrition, vitamins. Vitamin supplements can fill nutritional gaps that may not be covered by diet alone. You can buy vitamins from the pet shop either as drops or as a powder. My Viennese avian vet once told me that the liquid vitamins you put into a bird's drinking water are pretty useless because they're not light stable and pretty much degrade within the hour. For most of Leporello's life, I've therefore sprinkled his seed mix with just a tiny bit of vitamin powder. During molting season, he gets a specially balanced supplement with biotin for feather growth, but for all the other times he just gets a regular vitamin. Always make sure you dose it correctly, rather too little than too much, because many of these contain far too much vitamin A, which can cause problems. All in all, with a little sprinkle every day or every other day, you're probably on the safe side. Whew, that's it for nutrition. We've covered seed mixes, greens, egg food, minerals and vitamins. So of course, now we're on to drink. Point 3. Clean drinking water. Clean water plays a pivotal role in a bird's daily health. Your bird should only ever drink water which you yourself would drink. If you live in an area where tap water isn't great, I suggest you provide still mineral water. Here in Paris, tap water comes from the river Seine and is heavily chlorinated, and since we're living in a historic building, probably also contaminated with lead. So, Leporello drinks still mineral water from a bottle I keep in the fridge, and I drink water from a water filter. The reason I'm not giving the filtered water to Leporello is the fact that these filters unfortunately are notorious for microbial growth, and while ingesting a couple of thousand bacteria is probably fine for me, I weigh around 50 kilograms, I'm not so sure it would be fine for Leporello, who is 2,500 times smaller, weighing in at only 20 grams, so I stay on the safe side. Equally important is the hygiene of water dishes. Allowing them to dry out completely for 48 hours between uses is an effective method of controlling pathogens. Water dishes often are a breeding ground for parasites called trichomonas, which often cause fatal illness, especially in finches. Luckily, they perish once they dry out, so it's a good idea to have at least 2 sets of water dishes, better 3, and always let them dry fully for at least a day before reusing them. Speaking of water, that brings us to the next item on the list. Point 4. Bathing. Bathing is not just a pleasurable activity for birds, but a necessary one. It helps maintain feather condition by removing dust and dander. Offering a bath bowl with fresh lukewarm water allows birds to bathe at their discretion. The bowl should be shallow to prevent accidents. Placing the bath in a consistent location helps the bird become accustomed to its presence. If your bird doesn't seem to want to bathe no matter what, he might not be feeling safe in his current place. Either give it some time or place the bath somewhere else. Trying a different bowl can help as well. Many birds don't like feeling enclosed, as happens in the bird baths commonly sold in pet shops. If you've tried everything and your bird still isn't bathing, I have a video which may inspire him to do so. Link in the description. Point 5. Natural conditions. Birds are meant to live outdoors. Just like humans, they need sunlight and fresh air to regulate their hormones and for the synthesis of certain vitamins. Luckily, we can recreate some of these conditions indoors. Point 5.1. Natural light. Lighting is an absolutely critical yet often overlooked aspect of avian care. Birds are highly sensitive to light cycles, which regulate their circadian rhythms and hormones, influencing breeding, molting, and sleeping patterns. Using a full-spectrum, flicker-free bird lamp connected to a sunrise-sunset timer can mimic natural daylight variations. Getting the right dosage of varying wavelengths of light is absolutely critical to ensure your bird's health. Birds who get too little light suffer from vitamin D and calcium deficiency, become depressed, susceptible to illness, and can even die prematurely. Let me know if you want me to make an in-depth video on bird lamps. Point 5.2. Good air quality. Air quality has a profound impact on a bird's respiratory health. Every morning and every night you should open the windows and air out your bird's room for at least 5 to 10 minutes, obviously while the bird is safe in his cage and the door is closed. But dust, dander and airborne particles can accumulate during the day, especially if you live in a large city as we do. Using an air purifier equipped with a HEPA filter can effectively remove harmful particles, reducing the risk of respiratory infections and allergies. It's important to select a purifier that operates quietly to avoid causing stress and to ensure it's free from ozone emissions, which can be harmful to birds. Point 5.2.2. Humidity. This is just a little side note, especially if you live in a climate that gets cold in winter. Ideally, you should monitor the humidity of your room and see to it that it never falls below 40%. Anything below can irritate your bird's lungs and air sacs and cause mysterious coughing. Thankfully, it's quite easy to raise humidity with a small humidifier. Just make sure you're only running it on water and don't add any essential oils which can be fatal to birds. Point 5.3. Temperature. This probably goes without saying, at least if your bird is living indoors, but the room temperature should always be warm enough to be comfortable for your bird. I'm just adding this to say that older birds especially get cold very easily. If you have an old bird, like I do, your little friend might benefit from an infrared heat lamp. I've hooked this one up to the same smart timer as this bird lamp, which switches on at sunrise and switches off at sunset. But I've heard that some birds even like to sleep under a heat lamp. If this is the case, it should be switched on at all times. Just make sure it isn't too close to the cage and there's ample space for your bird to move away if he gets too hot. Let's summarize. Today we've covered free flight, nutrition, more exactly, seed mixes, greens, egg food, minerals, and vitamins. We've talked about drinking water, bathing and how to provide it, natural conditions such as natural light, clean air, and the right temperature. Since we've covered so much information, I've collected all of it in a PDF file. Link in the description. I've put it up as a pick your own price item. If you don't want to pay for it for any reason, please just download it for free. Absolutely no worries. If you've listened up to this point in the video, comment 11, because that's how many years Leporello will hopefully turn this summer. Thank you for your attention and see you in the comments.